everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now this video is going to consist of telling you the story of my failed student teaching experience. Now we're going to go all the way back to the University of Texas at Austin, Hook 'em Horns, 2016-2017. Now, like most student teaching experience, you start in your second semester of your junior year. That is when you learn the curriculum. That is when you learn pedagogy. You take all these courses and classes that tell you what being a teacher is like. And you head to a school, but you merely observe. You're not student teaching. You're not like hands-on with the students. You're merely there to observe. Now, my second semester of student teaching was during my first year of my senior year. Everything went well, same thing. You're learning your classes, you're learning the curriculum, you're learning the pedagogy, and you're having a good time with going to a school, a different school than the first one that you went to, and you are actually hands-on with the student. However, it's very monitored. There are like two teachers looking at you, observing you, guiding you. That's what I went through. I did like a guided reading session with two students every Thursday and I believe Friday. We would go to the school and we would teach the student reading, guided reading. So that was how the second semester. Now here's where the whole issues started coming in. The last semester of student teaching was the official student teaching one. That was the last semester of my senior year. This is the one where you graduate at the end of the year. This is kind of where it all went haywire. So I was assigned to a school in the Austin area, and basically it went perfectly fine. I met my CT. She was amazing. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better CT, because I believe that partially everything that happened was my fault. And I don't want to think that, but something in myself makes me feel like everything that happened could have been prevented. So let me go ahead and explain this. Everything went fine. The last semester basically was you observe your CT for the last time. You observe, and then slowly, week by week, you gradually take over her class. And then there's a point where the last 2 weeks of your student teaching, you basically become the teacher. Like, you are it. The only thing that we were not in charge of was grading, but everything else, we were basically the teacher of record, I would say. So everything went fine. I was observing her. She would let me teach some classes. She would let me try out. She would lesson plan with me. She would guide me. She would show me some of the books that she would use for her students. And keep in mind, her class was kindergarten, and a lot of her students were immigrants. So a lot of them came from Cuba, from I think one was like from Jamaica, one was from Africa, a couple were from the Dominican Republic. It was all over the place. They came from all over the place, all over the world, I'm sorry. So it was definitely a unique experience, and it was kindergarten, so I wasn't quite sure what grade I wanted to be in, so I wanted to try out all different kinds of grade levels. My first semester I was in first grade, and then I was in second grade, and then my student teaching experience was in kindergarten. I had never even thought about third, fourth, or fifth grade. I didn't even know that was even a option, but I thought I wanted to be with the little kids rather than the big kids. So back to my student teaching. It was the first week of completely taking over her class. It went fine. I did the lessons. My CT observed me along with my CT from the University of Texas, the one who came and observed you. But then the last week of fully taking over the class, something went wrong. I think what went wrong was mental illness. I didn't realize that I had mental illness until it happened to me. I was completely overwhelmed. I had all of these issues. For example, we were still taking classes at that time. I think I had 4 college classes that I still was taking on top of all this student teaching. And then I had some health issues, and my mom at home, because this was in Austin and my parents stayed in Houston. So I couldn't, just be with my mom all the time. So she had some health issues. And then the fact is, I didn't have a job. So I had no money. So I couldn't go out and buy like groceries, and I was a little bit hungry, and it was just too much. I was completely overwhelmed to the point where I shut down. I completely shut down. I felt like I didn't want to do anything. I was just staying there, and it got so bad that my apartment was a disaster. Like, food on the floor, papers on the floor, my bed unmade, the closet was a mess. It was just absolutely horrendous. My life was a disaster at that point. And the thing is, because I had shut down, I did not plan a lesson. I did plan it, like I had thought about it. I was like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. It was like this cool social studies experiment or activity that, because my kids were immigrants from all over the world, they were going to, pinpoint. I was going to do like thumbtacks and rope, and I was going to do, oh, like this person's from here, this person's from here, and I was going to show them how they're all connected. It was a brilliant idea. And I went through it with my CT, and she approved it. But I didn't plan any of the materials. I didn't plan the rope. I didn't plan the thumbtacks. I didn't plan anything. I just went to school that day during my second week of full teaching, and I just sat there with the kids. And I just remember talking about, oh, kids, this is what we're gonna do, but I had nothing prepared. Nothing. And I didn't have anything prepared for the rest of that day. No math, no science, no reading. I had shut down completely. So my CT noticed, like, wait a minute, where's your lessons? And I told her I didn't have anything. And the next thing she did was, okay, she told me, you need to sit down. I'm going to cover my class. So I sat down. I was basically tearing up, like at the small group table by myself, watching her. She like jumped right back on. Like, she had no issues. She was just, I could just feel the disappointment from my CT, and I could feel the disappointment in myself. So after that day, I went home and I told my what are they called? Not CTs, but like my guides from the university, the ones who kind of like, guide you through the student teaching experience. I told them everything that happened. They came and visit me at my house, and they gave me some food, which was so sweet of them. I mean, they were unbelievably supportive. And basically they told me, okay, we're going to give you another chance at student teaching. We still had a couple of weeks left. I think it was like late April when all of this happened. So we still could have a chance for me to complete my student teaching. But the thing is, and they had recommended me to go to a therapist. So I did go to a therapist at the university that they provide. But I think I had fallen into some form of depression or some form of hole, because I just didn't have any motivation. None whatsoever. Because they told me, okay, we're going to lesson plan. I want you to lesson plan. You're going to give me your lesson plans like the week before you teach them, so that way we can approve, we can help you. They were really supportive, but I was just not there. I couldn't get back out of the sinkhole that I was in. I don't know what it was. I think it was depression that hit me, but I'm still not sure to this day. So they gave me another shot. I went back to school. I observed like one more week while I was making my lesson plans. And I think they knew that I wasn't making the lesson plans, because they were like, where are your lesson plans? We gave you the second chance. You should have them done by now. And I barely had like 1 out of 5. Because remember, kindergarten, you teach all the subjects. I think it was heartbreaking. So the next week after they found out that I didn't have any lesson plans, they say that I was going to fail student teaching, that it was over, that I had no other chance because it was already middle of May and I graduate like in 2 weeks. So what they did was they told me, you need to go to the College of Education, the department, and you need to talk to them, because you might not be able to graduate because you're missing all your credits for student teaching. I head there the next day, and I told them what happened. They had already known because the guides already told them, like they had sent them an email. And they told me, okay, if you are going to stick with the major of EC through 6 generalist, you will not be able to graduate. However, if you change your major to youth and development studies with the minor in education, you will be able to graduate in 2 weeks. I said absolutely, because honestly, being a teacher is wonderful, but that comes second to being a student or even a person. So I was like, you know what, let me graduate. I can always become a teacher later. So I said yes, absolutely. They changed my major. I was able to graduate with full credits, a whole bunch of like 124 credits. And finally, my guides from the student teaching told me, okay, this is your last like 2 days at the school. Go ahead and say goodbye to them, and then you're done, because it was pretty much the end of the semester. And this is the heartbreaking part, and it really is emotional because I really hadn't talked to this about anybody. But before I went back to the elementary school to say my goodbyes, I remember that after I heard that I was going to be able to graduate, I went back to my apartment. I cleaned up my room, made it spotless. It was a disaster. Like, I had taken out 2 trash bags out of my apartment. I cleaned it up. I washed the dishes. I went out for a walk. I ran like a mile that day because I needed to get out all of this energy and all of this heartbreak and all of this disappointment that I had. Oh my goodness, I'm so emotional. But, you know, even though it's been 4.5 years since all of this happened, it does affect you. It does affect you even to this day, because I still remember it. And because of what happened during my student teaching, it made me stronger today. But when I look back at what happened, I can only feel the disappointment and the guiltness and the sadness, not for me, but of everyone, the students, my CT, my guide, that I made them feel. I remember the last day I went to the elementary school, and I said goodbye to all the students. My CT, even though she was disappointed in me, she still had the students maybe like a t-shirt with all of their names on it and like their handprint like painted on their the t-shirt. And I remember, waving goodbye to the students during dismissal. And when the last kid was done, I was about to walk out of the classroom. I turned around, I looked back to my CT, and I said to her that I was sorry. I said that I wish that you had a better student teacher. She said, good luck on all of your journey, your adventures. And I walked out the door, pretty much tearing up like I am now. So after that, I pretty much got ready for graduation. I got my cap, I got my gown, and I was able to graduate with a completely different major than what I started with. I was able to graduate with all of my College of Education buddies, and that was pretty much my student teaching experience. And one advice that I could give you from my experience is this: mental health is real. I thought that because I didn't have a career, I didn't have a job, I didn't have really anything to worry about, I shouldn't have mental health issues. I shouldn't have depression. Why do I have this? But because I was so overwhelmed, because I was so stuck. I was stuck in a big hole. I didn't have anyone to help me. And I think that's the issue. I didn't talk to anyone because I thought that I could handle it myself. But I couldn't. I was so overwhelmed that I shut down. And because I shut down, I didn't plan. And because I didn't plan, I failed my student teaching experience. So please, if you could get out one thing from this experience, being a teacher is wonderful. And it's going to be one of the most amazing things in your life. But you need to take care of yourself. If you are having issues during college, and it is okay to have issues in college, if you are having issues, you need to talk with someone. No one can be by themselves in this world. So please, don't get yourself so overwhelmed that you shut down, because it does affect you. It does affect your friends, your family, and yourself. That is my advice that I can give you from all of my experience. Now, I will be making a video on how I became a teacher after my failed student teaching experience. So I am going to go ahead and make that pretty soon. So if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you like. And go ahead and there is my Instagram link down below, along with my Amazon wish list and my TPT store. So go ahead. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that this was helpful to you, and I wish you good luck on your student teaching experience. And thank you. Bye-bye.